What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mark with the Better Mark. Let's get into tonight's six-game slate within the association. Just to recap, last night the dogs were barking. Yes, there was a lot of heavy dog barking. We saw with a lot of underdogs coming home, winning outright. Right, we saw it with the Cavaliers losing, we saw it with the Indiana Pacers losing, and so on and so forth. A couple of the chalky plays out there that everybody was on. The Clippers getting blown out at home. Okay, that's just a couple, just a name. Keep that list short because we don't like to see a lot of those underdogs winning outright. But if you guys were on some of your squads and were able to get a huge money line value, congratulations. That was well earned, and that was what was kind of stemming off of my previous sentiment, where there might have been a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. Okay, and a couple of these teams maybe had a little equalizing effect, bringing everybody down to a puncher's chance in these contests. A little bit too much partying maybe on a Sunday night. Who knows? But that is over and in the books. So let's get into tonight's six-game slate. Kind of a great slate if you look into some of the analysis. But I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, guys, because I'm going to only have two plays tonight. I have two strong leans, but only two plays on tonight's card. But we're going to get into the first game, guys. We're going to talk Boston against Brooklyn. Okay, Boston's going on the road. Huge rest spot for Boston and a couple other teams on this slate. But it's something where if you look at Boston historically, look at the trends, guys. They're about a 500 cover team, a little bit under that actually. And Brooklyn's a fairly good cover team at home. Not something where I'm going to get involved, especially with the number is 8.5. And yes, Boston will probably win by 20, but just not something I'm looking to get into within this number, because if you've watched recently, Boston has let people creep around, staying in the game late, and sometimes eking out a 3, 4, 5, 6 point victory, which they've won. I think they're 7 out of their last 3, 8, and it's something where you can't ignore the Boston Celtics. I'm sorry, 7 out of their last 10, but it's something where you can't ignore the Boston Celtics, but it's just something where I end up fading a lot of these chalky favorites more so than not, okay? Secondly, Oklahoma City going on to the Orlando Magic. This was a game that I really did like, but before this video was made, there was a lot of movement within the total, within the bet that I like, so losing all that closing line value, it's not one that I'm going to offer up for you guys, but I did like the opening under at 227 for these teams. Orlando is a very stingy, I think they're fourth in the NBA in defense points allowed. So Oklahoma City going on the road. Yes, Oklahoma is the class of the West as we currently speak from a record standpoint, but this is something where as this number fell from 227 to 224.5, not something where I'm going to get involved and lose out on all that closing line value. So that's going to be a no play as well. And then this will be our first official play. We're going to go back to the well. Milwaukee, right? Second leg of a back-to-back. We had the game against the Denver Nuggets, blowing them out at home. Miami has a completely depleted roster. You look at some of the likes of their players not playing. We can go on into talking about the injuries on that front. Jimmy Butler's out, Josh Richardson's out, Terry Rozier's out, Duncan Robinson probably won't play, and Drew Smith is out. So it's something where we look into this huge discrepancy within talent available. I know Chris Middleton will be out for the Bucks, but guys, I think Doc Rivers is starting to try to catch some traction within this Milwaukee Bucks roster. And I know they're on the second leg of a back-to-back. I know how dangerous that can be within betting the NBA, but the Milwaukee Bucks are that one team within the association I am not scared to take on a second leg of a back-to-back. And actually, in some metrics, if you look at it very closely, they're actually better in that second game. So just completely reiterating the stance and position that Giannis is absolutely a freak within what he brings to the game. So that'll be my first official play. We're going to lay the 8 within Milwaukee. And then we're head out to the West Coast. We've got 3 games going on late, 10 o'clock slate, 10:30 within the Detroit and Lakers. We're going to talk about the Detroit-Lakers game, right? This is a no play for me. I'm not in the business of betting for or against the Detroit Pistons, but this is something where I do think the total might be a little bit too high. It's getting bet up to 239.5 right now. It would be a lean towards the under if I had to say something, but Detroit taking some money, coming down in that spread, opened at 12, down to 11. Cade Cunningham is balling. D'Angelo Russell balled out for the Lakers. They're coming off of like a 4-day rest as well, where they really had a huge win against New Orleans after getting that disappointing loss on Kobe night. Where they played Denver at home. Okay, but now the Lakers, I think it's their third game at home in a row, off of some rest. They're going to be fully rested, ready to go. It's just a no play for me, guys. Like I said, I try to fade and get away from Detroit Pistons at any given point in time, unless we're going to get into the prop markets. Okay, and then Minnesota at Portland. This will be my second play that we're going to look into, and it's going to be some of the same logic. Portland's taking money at 8.5. Okay, Portland has a lot of injuries as well, and Minnesota actually played a very, very phenomenal game. One of the most underrated teams in the NBA, and I know it's a lower total, but we're going to still look at this 8.5. I'm actually going to wait on this one, guys. I really think that if you want to take Portland, I'm not going to blame you because that's exactly where the money's headed. And that's why I'm going to wait on betting this. I'm going to wait till Minnesota gets some action and possibly come in on that 8 if I can find it. Okay, so that's going to be later on in the day. So that'll be my second official play. I'm locking in Minnesota -8 because I know it's going to come. I know people are going to be betting Portland, and something where I know Minnesota's on the second leg of a back-to-back, but it's the same logic I applied within Milwaukee Bucks. So that's going to be a game I have penciled in as well. So I'm really looking forward to that out on the West Coast. Okay, and then finally we'll get into Sacramento Kings at the Phoenix Suns. It's something where this is a rematch from a January battle where Sacramento had a 22-point lead. A 22-point lead, guys. And they ended up blowing it. Grayson Allen, I think, hit like 7, 8, maybe, I don't know. He hit a ton of threes in that game, and then Phoenix ended up basically coming back and winning. So a little bit of a revenge spot. So, I like the Sacramento Kings, but this is where we look into the number, and we've seen the number go into the Phoenix Suns direction. They're taking on money. Phoenix is rested. Phoenix is playing really well. And we look into Sacramento. They're probably trending down back from how they were playing in January. Okay, not the same team. It's kind of what we see with the NBA all too often is you kind of get a Jekyll and Hyde approach. You can't really go on historical data because everything is evolving on a week-to-week basis, in my opinion. So those would be actually just leans for me. If I had to give you guys, I have my 2 official plays, but just leans on that front. We're going to look into taking possibly Sacramento +5 if we get up high enough. If it gets above 5, I'm probably going to entertain taking that, as well as I just think that the under 245, that's a little bit too high in that game. So those would be 2 leans to, alongside the Oklahoma City under 224.5, but that number has crept up too far where I'm not going to bet it. It's still a lean, though. It's something where I'd be more inclined to play. And then if you had ask me tonight which one I'm most confident in, that would be those 2 games that I mentioned, taking them both -8 within Minnesota Timberwolves and the Milwaukee Bucks. So that about wraps it up for us on this slate for tonight's NBA contest. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Make sure you guys are all subscribed down below. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Just reached 100 subscribers here on the channel. It's the first milestone in starting the YouTube channel. So I hope you guys are all along for the ride. Please consider subscribing. Thank you once more, and we'll see you guys all in the next video. Cheers.